Hi, welcome to MRC Virtual 2022. We're kicking things off. My name is Julie Ferguson and I'm CEO of the MRC. I'm excited to present to you today some highlights from MRC Las Vegas and MRC Berlin. We're hosting two tracks today. You may have noticed that the times are a little different. We actually are in many different time zones with members in APAC, Europe, and in North America. These time zones will help us serve live sessions all across the world. You'll also notice we have an Ask Me Anything session where we have a series of expert panelists there to answer questions on payment and fraud. That should be an entertaining one. As always, this conference will be available all the way through July 22nd. So if there's anything you missed, the times didn't work out, you can come back and watch it again. We also have lots of in-person events coming near to you. We have MRC Singapore happening in November. We have MRC Vegas in March. And I can hardly believe it, but our exhibit hall and sponsorships are almost sold out already for MRC Vegas. We also have MRC Barcelona that we're just ramping up for, that'll be in the spring as well. And we have many MRC Connects events next year in London, Dallas, Singapore, Miami, and Dublin. Those are happening in September and October, just a few months away. We also have our Women in Payments events in Melbourne and London this year as well. I hope to see you at least one of these events, if not all of them. Now we also have virtual events. We have MRC Summits. MRC Summits are designed to be deep dive conversations on a very specific topic. If you remember earlier this year, we did one on data science, where we talked about machine learning and graphs, and we talked all about different emerging technologies that were happening as it relates to machine learning. Before that, we had one on first-party misuse-friendly fraud. These sessions give us an opportunity to go really deep in technical depth on what's going on. Our members have said, hey, we need to know more about crypto, so that's the one coming up in September, and working on the ones for November and April, and we'll have the Women in Payments one in January as usual. So we're probably looking at subscription, authentication. Those are some topics that are bubbling up. Now we also have every Wednesday multiple webinars on many different topics, just about everything you could imagine. These are always presented by subject matter experts, and they're free to attend, and they're also available after the fact in our resource center. So if you ever wanted to know, say you needed to expand in LATAM, you could go to our resource center and watch webinars about how to expand in LATAM and lessons learned and best practices from many of our members. Now, one of the things that happened during the pandemic is MRC took the opportunity and we said, let's pivot and make sure that we're not just an events organization, but we have year-round engagement. So we actually have an industry events calendar where you can see all the things that are going online, whether they're in person or virtual. You can see MRC events, but our members are also posting their events here as well. What's really cool about this calendar is you can overlay it on top of your calendar, so not only can you see what's going on in your work life, you can see what's going on in the industry. We also have the MRC community Slack channels where you can connect in basically near real time with your industry peers on many different topics. So we have channels on PSD2, payments, fraud. When the Ukraine war started, we had it on Russian sanctions, and people were sharing what was happening and the best practices around that. Recently, there was a big announcement from Visa on their new compelling evidence, and so lots of questions and answers were happening in the chat channel around that. So I highly encourage you to join the Slack channel if you haven't already. Of course, we also have our message boards. These are our communities where you can actually ask questions either as yourself or anonymously, and people can chime in. The daily digest or weekly digest will then send you a summary of those conversations. People always ask me, hey, Julie, how are you keeping up with everything that's going on in the payment and fraud industry? And I'll tell you, it's tough. But one of the things that really helps keep me current is our community calls. Our community calls are either every 6 weeks, some of them are monthly, some of them are quarterly. But basically, it's where experts on a particular topic get together. We have committees that form the agenda, and then they're just open Zoom calls. And anywhere between 30 to 100 people are on the Zoom call, just talking about what's going on, the latest trends, things that are emerging. And it's great where we talk about the latest fraud scams. We're talking about the latest changes in regulatory issues around payments. There's a law enforcement community call talking about the different operations going on. So I highly encourage you to check those out and join them if there's topics that you're interested in. It is the best way to keep up with what's going on. Now, the Merchant Issuer Executive Committee actually drives our advocacy efforts. That's something that the MRC has taken on in the last 2 years. And with advocacy, we're working in India with the RBI to advocate on merchants' behalf for changing some of the regulations. There was a proposed law that was recently passed where you couldn't store a credit card on file anymore, and tokens were supposed to replace it. Tokens aren't quite ready for prime time. So we continue to provide hard data along with many others in the industry in India, explaining, hey, this is where we're at and this is what we need to be able to not have a bad consumer experience. We're also always actively working on 3D Secure and PSD2. Una Dillon, who's in charge of advocacy, is actually a member of the PSMEG, which is an advisor to the European Commission on all of the things related to payments representing the merchants. We are also engaged with the U.S. Federal Reserve Board and the CFPB, talking about first-party misuse and friendly fraud. And then, of course, we've really worked hard to establish good relationships with Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. We're hosting every 6 months calls on the mandates that are coming out. Visa and MasterCard are actually doing the presentations on what's changing so that merchants can stay current on what's going on. And also, hopefully you just caught it, Visa recently did a webinar with us on the compelling evidence changes. So all of that has come out of the advocacy efforts. Now, one of the new programs we launched just a few months ago is the Certified Payment and Fraud Prevention Professional. So in the industry for years, people have said, oh, I'm a subject matter expert, I know payments well, I know fraud well. But what our members have said is it's really difficult to interview somebody, to hire somebody as an employee, to coach them on what gaps they have and what they need to fill. And so our members asked the MRC, hey, can you create a program that has kind of that pathway for different job roles and job task analysis and what they need to learn. And so we built that out and we've launched the certification program. I took it earlier this year, hope I passed. It was hard. We have a study guide, and I highly encourage you, if you're looking to expand your career, understand what gaps you have, what you do know, this is a great way to prove that you are a subject matter expert for payments and fraud. Now, we also have our Rapid EDU platform, which is our online e-classes. So we have the traditional payment, fraud, and chargeback classes that are more introduction, essential information you need to know. But we're now starting to add courses around first-party misuse, buy now, pay later, and 3D Secure. So the first-party misuse is coming soon. You can pre-order it. QR code is right here to take you to the Rapid EDU platform. But these classes are anywhere from an hour to 5 hours, and it's a great way to get up to speed on topics. Look for lots more coming soon. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that resource center where the webinars are, there's also white papers and there's case studies. There's actually over 6 years of history on all of the different topics for payments and fraud prevention in our industry. So if you need to become an expert overnight on how to expand into Latin America or how account takeovers are working, you can go to our resource center and watch videos, read papers, and understand and get up to speed pretty darn quick. So coming soon. So our website is a little dated, and it doesn't even work on my cell phone very well. So I'm so excited to tell you that our new website is coming out in the fall, early fall, and it's going to work on our cell phones. Additionally, it's going to be a lot better organized, and we're going to have overall search capability for the whole website. So you'll be able to just go and type a topic and find what you need. So with that, this was a sneak peek. I want to encourage everyone to get involved. If you go to your MRC portal, there's actually a list of all the different things that I mentioned of ways to get involved with the MRC. So you can go to your settings and click on those Get Involved links. And our mission at the MRC is to be the go-to place for e-commerce, payment, and fraud professionals globally to facilitate networking, education, and advocacy. So I really hope that you guys see with all of the new programs and all the activities that we've got going on, we're really working hard to get there. That said, your feedback's important. My door is always open, so if you ever want to chat, just give me a shout. That said, I'd like to introduce our sponsor of today's event, Stripe. Representing Stripe is Steve Cleve, an old friend of mine in time we've known each other, but also we're both getting up there a little bit, but he is head of enterprise payments and performance. I'll kick things off and turn it over to Steve to welcome us.
Thanks to Julie Ferguson, MRC CEO, for that overview on MRC current activities. As with all our events, we couldn't bring the advice, expertise, and sessions to you without our sponsors. This event is sponsored by Stripe, and providing the welcome note from our sponsor today is Steve Cleave, Head of Enterprise Payments and Performance at Stripe and MRC Advisor.
Hi, everybody. I am Steve Cleave. I represent Stripe on the North American Advisory Board of the MRC. I have had the good fortune to be involved in this industry for 40 years, and we, as Stripe, are pleased to be the lead sponsor for this event. I'll share a little bit with you about Stripe. We published an open letter to the industry several months ago, so you can find that online if you are interested. You know, we're still a private company, so we shared some of our statistics and the like. We did roughly $700 billion in processing volume in 2021. And, you know, we serve customers across the spectrum, including Amazon, Ford, Shopify, Zoom, Warby Parker, Wayfair, Slack, even the NASDAQ is a customer of Stripe. We do local acquiring in roughly 50 markets around the world, and we support roughly 50 local payment methods. And I say roughly because that number is changing constantly. We have offices all across the globe, North America, EMEA, Latin America, and APAC. In my day job at Stripe, it's interesting. I'm on a team called Payments Performance, and I am constantly finding reasons to inspire my colleagues and our clients to get engaged with the MRC and take advantage of the excellent content that is available both at the events as well as readily available online. I personally attended and led a session at MRC Vegas, and several of my EMEA-based colleagues attended Berlin, as did some of my colleagues attend the event in Asia. I just reviewed the agenda, and as to be expected, there are dozens of excellent sessions from representatives across the entire ecosystem: merchants, issuers, solution providers, consultants, and of course, law enforcement. The topics, as again to be expected, range from the special needs of marketplaces to the BNPL and local payment method explosion, and of course, many, many fraud topics. In addition to us sponsoring the event, we are also going to be leading a focus group session exclusively for merchants. In conclusion, we wanted to keep this short and sweet. I hope you all enjoy the event, take full advantage of all the content. And of course, if I can ever be of any service to anyone, please feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to connect with you. So again, enjoy the event and look forward to attending it myself. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve, and again to Stripe for sponsoring MRC Virtual. Up next, we have something for everyone. You have options. Hear from Risk Ident and Otto in the next session called Future Shocked, where Otto makes sense of the changing payments world. They will talk about marketplace payments and their risk strategy. Also up next, we have the payment session with Overstock.com and Assertify talking about advanced tactics to help you keep ahead of the bad guys. Enjoy.